The crowd came to watch a wrestling match, but what they got was a massacre. Chicago's United Center was sold out, the air vibrating with chants and camera flashes. Everyone knew Steven Seagal's daughter, Arissa LeBrock, was about to debut, but no one understood the storm she was bringing. The lights dimmed, the Titantron flickered, and her name appeared in blood-red letters. When the first guitar riff of her entrance theme hit, the audience erupted. Yet Arissa didn't smile. She walked straight down the ramp, her expression cold, her hands taped white like a prizefighter heading to war. Across the ring stood Rebel Rose, AEW's self-crowned queen of street fights, a woman feared for turning opponents into crimson legends. She smirked at Arissa and mouthed, "Hollywood's gonna bleed." The bell rang. The sound was swallowed by a wall of noise. Arissa exploded forward, ducked a swing, and slammed Rose with a judo hip throw that rattled the boards. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing, yelled commentary. Arissa mounted her and rained down elbows, each one harder, faster, meaner. The crowd gasped as Rose's lips split open. Blood dotted the mat before the first minute was gone. Rebel rolled out, grabbed a trash can lid, and cracked Arissa across the back. The metallic clang echoed like thunder. Arissa didn't fall. She turned, eyes burning. She snatched the lid, snapped it in half, and kicked Rose through the ropes. Chairs clattered. Fans jumped from their seats, screaming, "This is insane!" Camera flashes strobed the chaos. Arissa hurled Rose into the barricade, then pulled a kendo stick from beneath the ring. One swing, crack, splinters flew. Rose's back painted red. "The crowd erupted into chaos," shouted the announcer. "This isn't wrestling, it's destruction!" But amid the carnage, something shifted. Rose, gasping, leaned close and whispered into Arissa's ear. Instantly, Arissa froze. The kendo stick dropped. Confusion clouded her eyes. Whatever Rose said cut deeper than any weapon. She staggered back, lips trembling, as Rose laughed through blood. The audience, confused, began to chant her name, trying to pull her back. Arissa shook her head, then snapped out of it. With a scream that echoed through the rafters, she speared Rose through a table at ringside. Wood exploded. Security rushed forward but stayed back. The energy was too volatile. The referee called for the bell. The fight was over, but Arissa kept swinging until officials dragged her away. Her chest heaved, her hands dripping scarlet. She turned to the camera and whispered, "Don't ever say his name again." The arena fell silent. Fans stared, stunned. Social media exploded within seconds. Seagal's daughter just ended someone's career. But no one could answer the only question that mattered. What did Rebel Rose whisper that stopped the unbreakable Arissa LeBrock cold? Everyone saw the blood. No one saw the reason behind it. Backstage after the fight, Arissa LeBrock sat alone in the locker room. Her hands were still shaking, her knuckles crusted with someone else's blood. AEW doctors hovered near her, whispering about suspension or police involvement. But Arissa didn't hear them. Her mind replayed those 6 words Rebel Rose had whispered. 6 words that changed everything. She had fought to build her name apart from her father's shadow. But in that single moment, it felt like all the ghosts from Steven Seagal's past had followed her into AEW. She could still hear Rebel's taunt echoing in her head. "You can't bury Kyoto." What did that even mean? The crowd outside chanted her name as paramedics carried Rebel away. Social media was already on fire. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing, read one viral post. Clips of Arissa's fury were spreading faster than wildfire. Every punch, every scream. Some called it the greatest women's match in AEW history. Others called it assault. Backstage agents argued over what to do. AEW had wanted spectacle, but they hadn't expected Seagal's daughter to turn the ring into a crime scene. One producer reportedly said, "We wanted a star, not a storm." But Arissa wasn't listening. She stared at the wall, trembling. She wasn't angry anymore. She was terrified. The name Kyoto meant something her father never talked about. Growing up, Steven Seagal had told her stories of discipline, training, and peace. But there were always missing chapters, times he'd go silent when she asked about Japan, When she tried to call him that night, there was no answer. AEW officials announced on live television that Arissa was being temporarily suspended for excessive conduct. The crowd booed the decision, chanting her name even louder. Meanwhile, Rebel Rose, covered in bandages, appeared in a hospital video smiling through bruises. "You can suspend her," she said, "but you can't erase the truth." That video went viral overnight. Fans flooded the internet with conspiracy threads, connecting old martial arts rumors to Arissa's fight. One tweet gained 1 million views. Was Seagal involved in a dojo death in Japan? Arissa saw it. She smashed her phone against the wall. "She's lying," she muttered. "She has to be lying." But deep down, she wasn't sure. AEW commentators tried to calm the storm, calling it a dramatic storyline. But insiders leaked that it wasn't scripted. Every punch, every scream, every drop of blood, it had all been real. Arissa's father finally called 3 days later. His voice was calm, distant. "Don't let them get to you," he said. "Stay quiet about Japan." Then he hung up. "Stay quiet. About Japan." The words chilled her to the bone. Cliffhanger. What secret was Steven Seagal hiding in Kyoto, and how did Rebel Rose know about it? When Arissa opened that old wooden box, she realized the fight had only just begun. 3 nights after the brutal AEW match, Arissa sat alone in her father's California dojo, the same place where she'd learned her first wrist lock at age 6. The moonlight cut across the room, glinting on the polished floorboards. Her father's words still echoed in her mind. Stay quiet about Japan. But she couldn't. She searched through old training logs, film reels, anything that might explain what Kyoto meant. Then she found it, a dusty box marked with Japanese kanji and a red seal. Inside were photographs. One showed Steven Seagal standing beside a young woman in a white gi, and behind them a dojo banner that read Kyoto Combat Club. The woman looked exactly like Rebel Rose. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing when leaked photos surfaced online the next day. Someone had hacked into Arissa's cloud drive. Within hours, the internet exploded with theories. Was Rebel Rose secretly connected to Seagal's past? Was she his former student? Or something worse? AEW tried to distance itself, issuing a press release calling it an unfortunate personal matter, but that only fueled the fire. Viewers on social media went wild, demanding answers. Hashtags like Chuck's Kyoto Fight Club and Steven Seagal's secret trended for days. Meanwhile, Rebel Rose was still recovering. In a live interview, she stared into the camera and said, "I told Arissa the truth. Her father destroyed everything I loved in Japan. And now she's finishing what he started." The clip went nuclear. Wrestling pundits and YouTube analysts began connecting dots between Seagal's old martial arts controversies and a supposed underground fighting syndicate in Kyoto during the late 1980s. Arissa's world was collapsing. Sponsors pulled back, fans divided, half worshipping her, half condemning her. AEW officials warned her to stay silent, but she refused. "If Rebel wants to talk about the past," Arissa said in a fiery Instagram video, "then let's finish it in the ring. No scripts, no limits." The announcement sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. AEW confirmed an unsanctioned street justice match. Arissa LeBrock vs. Rebel Rose 2, live on pay-per-view. No referees, no rules. The build-up was insane. Analysts called it WWE meets Kill Bill. Even veteran wrestlers said they hadn't seen hype like this in years. Arissa trained in silence, obsessively practicing old Seagal-style moves. Nerve strikes, joint locks, techniques banned from modern wrestling. She wasn't fighting for fame anymore. She was fighting for truth. But the deeper she trained, the more she started remembering things. Fragments of childhood trips to Japan, whispered arguments between her parents, a name carved into a temple wall. Rebel's real name. It wasn't Rose. It was Rina Tanaka, and the moment Arissa realized that, her blood ran cold. Who was Rina Tanaka? And what did Steven Seagal do to her in Kyoto that would drive her to vengeance? The lights went black. Then, one spotlight. Arissa LeBrock stepped out, and the arena shook like thunder. It was supposed to be a wrestling match. But from the moment she entered, everyone knew this wasn't sports entertainment anymore. It was a vendetta, decades in the making. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing as Arissa, dressed in a black leather jacket with Kyoto slashed across the back, stared down Rebel Rose, or rather Rina Tanaka. The commentators whispered like it was a funeral. This isn't sanctioned by AEW. This is something darker. Rina came out next. No music, no pyro, just the sound of her footsteps echoing through the arena. She wore a white jai stained with red streaks. When she climbed into the ring, she didn't look like a wrestler. She looked like an executioner. The bell rang. Silence. Then chaos. Arissa charged first, tackling Rina into the corner with a fury that shook the ropes. Elbows, knees, open hand strikes, Seagal-style precision mixed with raw emotion. The crowd erupted into chaos as Arissa landed a brutal knee to Rina's face, sending her spinning to the mat. Blood splattered across the canvas. Rina smiled through it. "You hit like him," she hissed. Arissa froze for half a second, just long enough for Rina to strike back. A roundhouse kick snapped against Arissa's jaw, sending her flying into a table. The audience roared, standing on their feet. "This isn't wrestling anymore," screamed one announcer. "This is a war!" Viewers on social media went wild. Millions watched in real time, flooding AEW's stream with comments like, "This feels too real," and "Seagal's daughter just turned AEW into a dojo deathmatch." Rina grabbed a kendo stick, swinging it with terrifying precision. Each hit echoed like a gunshot. Arissa blocked one blow, two, but the third cracked against her shoulder. She stumbled, her eyes wide with pain and rage. Then something snapped. She caught the kendo stick mid-swing, broke it in half, and screamed. What happened next became one of the most replayed clips in wrestling history. Arissa lifted Rina by the collar, slammed her through a table, then locked in a submission no one had ever seen before, a modified Aikido chokehold. Rina's eyes rolled back. The referee tried to intervene, but Arissa wouldn't let go. The crowd didn't know whether to cheer or beg her to stop. "End it, Arissa, you'll kill her!" one commentator shouted. When Rina finally went limp, Arissa released the hold. The ring was drenched in blood. AEW medics stormed in, cameras cut away. The pay-per-view feed ended abruptly. No winner declared. But the real shock came hours later when AEW doctors revealed that Rina Tanaka wasn't just unconscious, she was missing. When the cameras cut, the real story began. Hours after the Street Justice match, AEW's production trucks were in chaos. Nobody could find Rina Tanaka. The medics swore they'd loaded her onto a stretcher, but by the time they reached the ambulance bay, she was gone. Just vanished. Police arrived, but AEW security blocked cameras. Journalists camped outside the arena, shouting questions. Was this staged? Is Rina dead? Where's Seagal's daughter now? The story exploded worldwide. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. A wrestling feud had turned into an international mystery. Within 24 hours, Hashtag Where Is Rina trended in 15 countries. Some claimed she'd faked her injuries and escaped. Others swore she was kidnapped. Conspiracy channels released grainy footage of a black SUV leaving the arena minutes after the match ended. And the driver? Many said it looked exactly like Steven Seagal. AEW released a statement saying both wrestlers were safe and recovering. But insiders leaked a different story, that Rina's hospital bed was empty, her wristband still attached to the sheets. Meanwhile, Arissa was in hiding. Paparazzi spotted her outside a small dojo in Nevada, bruised and limping. When asked if she knew where Rina was, she looked straight at the camera and said, "I think my father does." That line set the internet on fire. Overnight, YouTube exploded with theories linking Seagal to the Kyoto Combat Club, an underground dojo allegedly shut down in 1989 after a student death. Some claimed Rina Tanaka was the sister of that student. Others said she was that student, reborn, rebranded, and bent on revenge. Arissa tried calling her father again. No answer. Instead, she got a text. "Stop digging, Arissa. Some ghosts should stay buried." For the first time in her life, she felt afraid of him. Not as a father, but as a man with secrets powerful enough to destroy her career. The AEW board threatened to terminate her contract if she spoke publicly. Sponsors pulled out. Her image was scrubbed from promos. But that didn't stop her. 2 weeks later, she uploaded a 2-minute video titled, "My Truth About Kyoto." In it, Arissa sat in silence for almost 30 seconds. Then she said, "I didn't mean to hurt her. I just wanted to know what my father did." Her voice cracked. "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." That video got 80 million views in 3 days. Viewers on social media went wild, some crying, others calling it staged. AEW went dark on her name. No bookings, no mentions. It was as if Arissa LeBrock had been erased from wrestling history overnight. But she wasn't done yet, because 3 days later, a mysterious video surfaced from Kyoto, showing Rina Tanaka alive, standing outside an old dojo with Steven Seagal's crest on the door. When that Kyoto video hit the internet, the world stopped watching wrestling and started watching history. The grainy footage showed Rina Tanaka alive, standing in front of an ancient Japanese dojo. Behind her, the wooden sign bore a faded symbol, the same crest Steven Seagal had worn during his early Aikido demonstrations. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Is this real? Was everything a setup? Theories flooded every corner of social media. But then, the camera panned, a door opened, Steven Seagal himself stepped into view. Calm, silent. He placed his hand on Rina's shoulder. "The war is over," he said in Japanese, and then the video cut out. The internet exploded. Viewers on social media went wild, dissecting every frame like it was evidence in a criminal case. AEW refused to comment. Major news outlets called it the strangest sports scandal of the decade. But for Arissa LeBrock, watching from her dark apartment in Los Angeles, the video was a nightmare come to life. Her phone rang minutes later. A blocked number. She answered. "Arissa," her father's voice said softly. "You've seen too much." She froze. "Where's Rina?" Silence. Then, "She knows the truth about Kyoto, about what happened at the dojo. But it wasn't what you think." Tears streamed down Arissa's face. "Then tell me, Dad, what really happened?" Steven sighed. "Rina's brother was my best student. He died in a sparring accident 35 years ago, but Rina never believed it was an accident. She thought I killed him to protect the school's reputation. I left Kyoto to bury that past, but she never stopped looking." Arissa's chest tightened. "So the feud? Everything? Was her revenge?" "Yes," he said quietly, "but you became part of it. When she saw you step into AEW carrying my name, she saw her chance to finish the fight." Arissa whispered, "And you let her?" Steven's tone turned cold. "I didn't have a choice." Before she could reply, the call ended. That night, Arissa vanished from Los Angeles. Paparazzi found her car abandoned outside LAX. Days later, another video surfaced. This time, a still image from a Kyoto security camera. It showed Arissa entering the same dojo, side by side with her father and Rina Tanaka. None of them were ever seen again. AEW moved on, pretending it never happened. But fans never forgot. Forums still light up with new sightings. A woman resembling Arissa teaching martial arts in rural Japan, or whispers of a secret dojo where two former enemies now train side by side. And sometimes late at night, a video appears briefly online, grainy, silent, showing a banner that reads, "Kyoto Combat Club, Honor Never Dies." Then it disappears again. Was it redemption, or the beginning of something even darker? Only the shadows of Kyoto know.